Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So, Jeron Boots Ennis and Demetrius Andrade are too good for their own good. And what I see happening with Boots Ennis, I see him becoming another Demetrius Andrade. A guy who is just so dominant, so good, that he's not going to be able to get the big fights that he wants. He may go on and pick up a belt, but I don't think he's going to go much further than that. I think he's going to be avoided. It's going to be sad. People are going to run from him. Now, the thing with Demetrius Andrade, we get it. His style, a lot of people weren't really pleased with. True boxing fans appreciate what he brings to the table. But in boxing, unfortunately, you'll get guys who come out there rock'em sock'em robots who may not really have the skill and IQ of a Demetrius Andrade, but people will pay to see it because they like to see fights, they like to see blood, they like to see knockouts. They don't really care to see somebody play it safe. And although Demetrius Andrade has been trying in his last few fights to really get guys out of there early and show that he has knockout power, which he's done very well, I think it's almost like too much, too little, too late. It's like he's just been written off as someone who's not a draw, who's exceptionally talented, but just not worth the risk because there's just no money behind him. And he's just deteriorating. His career is just deteriorating. Now, there are some people that said Demetrius Andrade's turned down fights before. He created his own misery by turning down fights for championship opportunities. And, I'm not so sure of that. Maybe there's some truth about negotiations and things not being the way he wanted, him not really wanting to short himself. Maybe there was something that happened, like a real lowball offer or something he felt just wasn't an even playing field, and as a result, some of the fights we'd like to see him in aren't happening. Maybe there's some truth to that. But at the end of the day, no one's jumping to fight him either. You guys have to get opportunities. But at the same time, you have to create that buzz for yourself, Now, when you look at a guy like Jermell Charlo and what he was able to do, he fought everybody in his division. But you have to have a dancing partner. With Demetrius Andrade, fighting at 160, just couldn't get guys to really want to fight him. Jumped up to 168. He's up there looking for, Golovkin, looking for Canelo. But then there's Benavidez up there, but it's just not going the way he wants. Now he doesn't have DAZN behind him. He doesn't have Eddie Hearn. He's just out, like I say, he's just in the breeze. And it's really unfortunate. But you look at a guy like Jeron Ennis, right? Jeron Ennis should have already been back in the ring. Now, I know they're working on getting a fight lined up for him, but it's not going to be Keith Thurman. There was supposed to be Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman, man, he wiggled out of that. Okay, these guys really priced themselves out, but I can't blame Keith Thurman for not getting in there. He just hasn't been active enough. And there's obviously something special about Boots Ennis, but I think Boots Ennis is heading down the same path as Demetrius Andrade. Boots Ennis is a guy who should be fighting 3 times a year. 4 times a year. He stays in the gym. He's always ready. But you can't make guys fight you. And there's just not that kind of money behind Boots Ennis right now. This man has a lot of fights. See, a lot of people don't realize just how many fights. I think he has over 25 fights. I should have pulled it up. Boots Ennis has like 28 fights or something like that. He's been at this for a while. And Keith Thurman, those guys have, I think, maybe less. So I just don't think Boots Ennis is going to get to where he wants to be because no one's going to give him that opportunity. I think if Spence and Crawford fight, I think they probably may or may not have a rematch. But if not, I could see them just relinquishing the belts, not fighting Boots, and going on to do something different, moving up to 154. And then Boots would, get to fight maybe a Stan Eunice or someone else for one of the belts. But after that, I don't see him being able to unify that division. I see people avoiding him. And it's just a real unfortunate thing. Unless he finds a way to really get that money machine behind him, you got to have something marketable about you, outside of boxing. That's what really helps these fighters to get to that next level, to get onto just a whole other stratosphere and make real money, get sponsorship deals, and just make him a household name. Boots Ennis has a lot of work to do if he wants to become a household name. Demetrius Andrade never became a household name and will never become a household name because there really isn't nothing marketable about him. Floyd Mayweather is known internationally because there was something marketable about him that made him a household name. Not saying these guys need to be the villain. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there has to be something special about you. Okay? Tank Davis is becoming a household name, but he's still not a household name. Okay? Oscar De La Hoya, well, coming off of a gold medal, and look at his record, commercials, everything. And a lot of people say he's a good-looking guy, so it was just easy to market him, and he had Top Rank behind him. When you look at these guys in boxing who are household names on an international scale, there was always something about them that they had or developed at some point in their career to make them marketable. And in return, meaning they generated a lot of money. As a result, they were able to get the fights they want, and they were the A side, and they were able to get paid handsomely and give their opponents the highest payday of their career. Demetrius Andrade is not that. Boots Ennis is not that, and probably will never be that unless he figures it out. Now, you look at a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Something special about Canelo Alvarez. That's why he's so marketable. It's not just the fact that he turned pro at 15. It's not just the fact that he's a great fighter. It's because he's Mexican, he looks Irish, got that red hair, speaks Spanish, and he is a no-kidding, straight-up fighter, comes to get busy. And he's not afraid of any challenge. Easy to market someone like him. He just doesn't fit the mold of the regular, I'm talking about appearance-wise, a Mexican. He has a totally different look. So it was easy to market Canelo. Easy to market him. But when you look at some of these other fighters, man, who else in fighting, I'm talking about right now, marketable. Well, you look at Ryan Garcia. Well, he started on social media. But he's got the platform. It makes it easy to market someone like that. He's doing commercials. I mean, when you have that money machine behind you already, it's easy to do that. And Jake Paul, he's a boxer, but same thing. These other guys, they got to build a platform. Adrian Broner is pretty much a household name. Easy to market. It was at one point very easy to market him, but it's not so easy to market him now. But he's known on an international level, not necessarily because of what he's done having a money machine behind him, because of just his antics and the things that people grew to love him in the beginning got out of control, got him in trouble, and now people despise him, right? But for Boots Ennis, he's going to have to figure that out right now if he wants to go to the next level. Just being great in boxing isn't enough. It's good for a guy like me and you who just love boxing, but for these guys to get the Anthony Joshua money, that Mayweather money, Pacquiao money, or even just 10, 15 Miguel Cotto money, that kind of, just to get over the hump, man, get the 8-figure paydays, they got to figure it out. You can't have two Demetrius Andrades fighting each other and think they're both going to make $15 million. Like, it's just not going to happen. But one thing I will say is this. Don't feel sorry for Demetrius Andrade, because he hooked up with Eddie Hearn and he got paid handsomely for several fights. But the money dried up over there at the zone and with Eddie Hearn. So as a result, he gave Demetrius Andrade the boot. So Demetrius Andrade is on his own. And he's in a situation kind of like Terrence Crawford. Real great, outstanding, pound for pound, maybe pound for pound the best. Right? You can easily throw Demetrius Andrade in there. But nobody wants to fight him because he doesn't put butts in seats. And that is what sucks. So him and Crawford is the same thing. Boots Ennis may be heading on that same path. Because if no one knows him, there's no way to really market him. It's just not going to be the money there. Earl Spence is a household name. He's known I would say he's known on an international scale now. It wasn't like that until that car accident. That car accident is what put Errol Spence on the map. He was already known in the boxing circles. Don't get me wrong, right? But that car accident put Errol Spence on the map. And how he bounced back put him on the map. And the fact that he was going to fight Pacquiao, had an eye injury, and came back and what he did. So everyone knows about Errol Spence now. What happened with that car accident was horrible. Very unfortunate. Doesn't matter if he was drinking or not. That doesn't matter. It's what happened. It was just a horrible, unfortunate event. But it was a blessing at the same time for Errol Spence. Terrence Crawford doesn't bring nothing like that to the table. Okay? So when you look at Boots Ennis, something's gonna have to give at some point. Because you can say, does anyone want to fight me? They're not gonna fight him. These guys are prize fighters. And Mayweather said it best when he was, chumping Shane Mosley. I'm a prize fighter. I fight for a prize. I fight for money. You dummy. That's what he told Shane Mosley when Shane Mosley, oh, he just fights for money. That's what all of y'all are fighting for. So with Boots Ennis, he's going to have to figure it out. I'm not sure who he's fighting. To me, he should have been in the ring a week after he had that fight against the Canadian because it was a joke, in my opinion. He should have been fighting the next week. We shouldn't have had this lull. He should be active. But, trying to get big fights, probably trying to get something lined up on the undercard of Spence and Crawford. So as a result, you put your career on hold and just, hold your breath and hope that works out. But don't end up like Amir Khan, hoping to get a fight with Pacquiao, hoping to get a fight with Mayweather. It never happens. It's just wasted a year and a half of your career. And that is what could suck for a guy like Ennis. But I'll go ahead and leave the video there. Boots Ennis, in my opinion, isn't going to be in any huge fights coming up. Even though we've heard of Keith Thurman, I did a video on it. That was the talk. That died out. I just don't see anybody wanting to get in there with him, man. And I really feel that he's going to end up in a situation like Demetrius Andrade. I really do. Going to have him be an exceptional talent. But nobody going to want to really promote and get behind him or give him the kind of money if he starts demanding that kind of money, like the $5, $7, $8, $9, $10 million paydays. They're just not going to be able to do it because although he may be, seen by most as pound for pound best like Terrence Crawford, there's just a limit to what they can give you. And you may not feel that's what it is, and it creates a rift, and then you got problems, and now your career falls apart. But you guys let me know your opinions on it, man. That's just what I'm thinking. I'm watching. I'm hearing different names being thrown out there, but I just don't see anybody wanting to jump and get in the ring with this man, and I think he's going to struggle just like Demetrius Andrade because although Boots Ennis is more entertaining, he's just same thing with Demetrius Andrade, just so good that people aren't going to want to get in there and risk taking a loss to him. It's just not worth it whether you're an up-and-comer or you're a veteran or even if you're a gatekeeper. Just not a fight you want to take because there's the money doesn't equal the risk. It doesn't. They're going to want to cash out, and he's just not a guy you can cash out against. He's not there yet. And as a result, I think he's going to struggle to get the fight that we want to see him in and that he wants to be in. I think so. I think that's what's going to happen. But that being said, man, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to the veterans. Shout out to you. Y'all keep safe. Really hoping things work out for Demetrius Andrade because he's at the end of his career, man. Like his stuff is just fizzling out at a rapid rate. It's sad to see. Boots Ennis, I think, is next up to be like have the career that was like gonna be known for the fights that didn't get made. I think that's the direction he's going to, man. But we'll see. That being said, you guys take care. Keep safe. I'm in the breeze.